Welcome back to our class. Don't forget to subscribe if it is your first time to visit our channel. I just found so many messages concerning about reproduction and basically the menstrual cycle that it is giving challenge to students. So I say that let me just design a small video which is going to help you just to understand the menstrual cycle. Alright, I'm going to use a small method called flow. This is just names of the hormones which are being used in the menstrual cycle. So the menstrual cycle is divided into two, the uterine cycle and then ovarian cycle. So let's look at it in detail. So what you should do, the first thing you must do if you want to understand this menstrual cycle within just a very short period of time, draw two lines, the first line, and then draw another line crossing. So because I'm saying that I'm using Fallope, so F is follicle-stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen, and then progesterone. So now you distribute them accordingly, or the way how I'm going to show you. You put the days of the menstrual cycle from day 0 up to day 14. Some students ask me that, do we have day 0? Yes. If you are starting from, before it makes a day, it is maybe 1.5, maybe 6 hours before the full day. So day 0 it ranges there before it makes a full day. All right, so we are saying that you put your days 0, 7, 14, 21, and 28, then label them. F is follicle-stimulating hormone from here, and then L is luteinizing hormone. L is this one, luteinizing hormone, and then you have O, which is estrogen, and then P is progesterone. Then it makes, by taking the first letter, then it makes it Fallope. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how you must name them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it makes what you call the Fallope. So it means that before I start, it means that this hormone is going to be working in this box. This hormone is going to be working in this box. This hormone is going to be working in this box, and then the same to this hormone. So from there, you need to know where are they coming from, where are they being produced from. So these two hormones are being produced from the brain, basically. The brain, which part of the brain? That is hypophysis. So if you look at the brain, you find a hypophysis in there. So sometimes you call it the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. So then what about these ones? These ones are being produced from the ovary. Where exactly? Estrogen is being produced from Graafian follicle, while progesterone is being produced from corpus luteum. Yeah. Then from there, you need to know that, okay, I've divided this. This one is ovarian cycle. Then it means that ovarian cycle is being controlled by two kinds of hormone. So all this is ovarian cycle. Above this line, it becomes the ovarian cycle. It means that ovarian cycle is being controlled by two hormones, that is follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. So if they ask you any questions concerning about ovarian cycle, I don't expect you to talk about these two hormones. Then it means that this one is the uterine cycle. The ovarian cycle occurs in the ovary, while the uterine cycle occurs in the uterus. So then the cycle comes from where is happening from. Yes. So from there, you know that where they are produced from. Let's look at the function of each so that now we can see exactly what is happening. So we know that follicle-stimulating hormone, from its name, follicle-stimulating hormone, the hormone which stimulates the Graafian follicle. Yes, so this one stimulates the Graafian follicle to produce this hormone stimulates the development of the Graafian follicle. And then you have luteinizing hormone. This one triggers ovulation. When you talk about trigger, it means that when you touch a trigger of the gun, the bullet comes out. So this one triggers ovulation. Our bullet in this case is the ovum. So the moment it triggers the ovulation, then the ovum is being released. It doesn't stop there. Now, when the ovum has been released, that sac where the ovum was, it is now an empty Graafian follicle. Before it was a Graafian follicle, but now it is an empty Graafian follicle. So it stimulates the conversion of the empty Graafian follicle to corpus luteum. So then what about estrogen? This one prepares the uterus for implantation. But how does it make it prepared? It makes the uterus thick, vesicular, and then granular, like more thick like a sponge, vesicular with many blood vessels, and then granular with more glands. Yes, so the glands try to develop. You have progesterone. Progesterone is very important in maintaining the pregnancy. How does it maintain pregnancy? By making the endometrium walls more thicker, more vesicular, and more glandular. You want to see the word more. It is already thick. It is already thick, but it makes it more thicker. It's already vesicular, but more vesicular. Then it's already granular, and then it makes it more granular. So it means that it just makes it, it's like maintaining like the beauty of the endometrium. Yes. So from there, now you need to know, now how do these hormones work? So now we have seen that the first hormone you need to talk about is this hormone, follicle stimulating hormone. We start with this. Follicle stimulating hormone. So when the follicle stimulating hormone increases, yes, so why does it increase? So when it increases, it means that it increases so that it stimulates the Graafian follicle to produce the ovum. So that's why you are seeing here that the Graafian follicle, the moment it starts to increase, then the Graafian follicle starts also to develop. Before it increased, the Graafian follicle was almost the same. So now the Graafian follicle starts to increase. Why? Because follicle stimulating hormone has been increased. When it increases, then it stimulates the development of the Graafian follicle. So now, remember we said that the Graafian follicle is very important. So what is the function of the Graafian follicle? Yes, the ovum is there developing, but does not stop there. So what is happening? So the Graafian follicle, yes, when the Graafian follicle develops, so the Graafian follicle, what it does, the Graafian follicle produces estrogen. So you see that here, estrogen has been produced. Now the estrogen has started increasing, but it does not increase unless this one has increased. Why? Because this one, once it increases, yes, it causes the development of the Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle will start to produce estrogen. So what's the function of estrogen? Now estrogen is going to start developing the endometrium wall. So now the endometrium wall starts to develop. It starts to develop the uterus. So it starts to make the uterus thick, vesicular, and granular. So before it was like this, but now it's increasing because estrogen has started increasing. So now once it is now ready, it's ready now. By this time it's ready. It means that it is ready to receive a baby or to receive a zygote. Now because it is ready, on day 14, now what happens? The level towards day 14, the level of luteinizing hormone increases extremely or exponentially. And on day 14, remember we said that triggers ovulation. So it's going to trigger ovulation. On day 14, it increases to its peak. So it means that now it's going to do these functions. The first one is going to be triggering ovulation. So now, in this case, ovulation, this Graafian follicle is going to burst open and then releases the ovum. So the ovum has been released on day 14. So this is the ovum. Now this one remains the empty Graafian follicle. Before it was like this with the ovum. Graafian follicle, nice. But now it has released the ovum. So it has remained empty. So it has become empty Graafian follicle. So now still luteinizing hormone is gonna trigger, is gonna stimulate the conversion of this empty Graafian follicle to corpus luteum. So this is gonna be changed from Graafian follicle, empty Graafian follicle to corpus luteum by the help of luteinizing hormone. So now, because now its function is done, so it is supposed to go down, it's supposed to decrease. Now, the moment the corpus luteum has been released, what happens? Now, corpus luteum starts to produce what we call progesterone. It produces progesterone, Now, what's the function of progesterone? We see that it maintains pregnancy. How? By making the endometrium more thicker, more vesicular, and more granular. Now we will see that now the endometrium wall has increased, more blood vessels, you see them, more glands. Yes, so it is now thick, it's ready. If it's a marriage, this is the time when you are done with the wedding. Now you have gone to honeymoon, you are going to be looking for the baby. Now the endometrium wall will look like this. It is more thick, it's more thick, it has increased in the height. If you look at it here and here, yes, and then more vesicular, more blood vessels. You can see that here the blood vessels were not that many, but here they are a lot. And then more glands, you can see that, yeah, now it can secrete substances. So now when you're trying to explain, now you start with 1, you go there 2, you go there 3, you go here 4. That's how you can explain. Let me be brief and then I repeat it just in few seconds. Follicle-stimulating hormone is being released from the brain, that is hypophysis. This stimulates the development of the Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle, yes, produce what you call estrogen. Estrogen prepares the uterus for implantation by making it thicker, vesicular, and granular. Yeah, now the moment the uterus has been prepared, now it's on day 14. Ovulation occurs under the influence of luteinizing hormone. It also stimulates the conversion of the empty Graafian follicle to corpus luteum. Now, the moment corpus luteum is formed, corpus luteum produces progesterone. Progesterone maintains pregnancy by making the endometrium wall more thicker, more vesicular, and more granular. If fertilization does not take place, yes, so what will happen? Corpus luteum will degenerate, yes, and then the level of progesterone will drop, and then this will be accompanied by bleeding, or what you call the menstruation. Basically, that's how you can explain this menstrual cycle. So if they ask you the ovarian cycle only, you only talk about 1 and 3. If you are asked to talk about the uterine cycle, you only talk about 2 and 4. How do I identify that pregnancy took place or fertilization took place or fertilization did not take place? You have 3 points to look at. Number 1, if you see that corpus luteum has degenerated, you see it is big, it's now becomes smaller, and then very small. If corpus luteum degenerates, it means that fertilization did not take place. And if corpus luteum degenerates, it means that it won't produce progesterone. It means that now the level of progesterone decreases. So if the level of progesterone decreases, then it means that fertilization did not take place. And then lastly, you look at the endometrium. If the endometrium shades off or is having some menstruation, then automatically it means that fertilization did not take place. That's why you see that pregnant ladies or pregnant people don't undergo menstruation. Why? Because this endometrium is not shed off. Now, what causes this blood to come out? Just take an example of a sponge. Like if you put water in the sponge and then all of a sudden you squeeze the sponge, what happens? It releases the water which has absorbed before. So now when this endometrium is being developing, it absorbs this blood. That's why it becomes more vesicular, more blood comes in. Yes, but now if the fertilization did not take place, now the endometrium wall or the uterus starts to shrink, and once it shrinks, it squeezes this blood out, and then menstruation occurs. Basically, that's how you can explain this process of menstrual cycle. Thank you very much for being in our class.